For this tag we have two techniques to do, because on this side we've got a stencil technique and on the other side we've got an embossing powder technique. So the first thing we need to do is, this is one of the chipboard ones, and I'm going to just distress the edge with my knife. So just going all the way round both sides and just cutting bits away. Doesn't matter if it tears, because it's going to look, it just takes the sharp edge off the tag. Again, each time we're doing these tags, we're working out new and different ways to work with them, so it's just a different look to the tag. Always working away from yourself and be very careful not to get cut by the knife. Right, so it's ready to go, and we're going to give this one a coat of black gesso both sides. So there we go, there's our tag already painted. So the first technique is the easiest one, is just embossing powder. It's just to show you how lovely silver embossing powder looks on black and how simple it is. So I'll keep my piece of paper underneath to catch the powder, and for this I'm just using a silver embossing powder and a Versamark ink pad, and it's a very simple technique that you probably already know, but simply this stamp comes from the Lynn Brown collection ELB 30, and it's the leaf, and it's like a nature print. So making sure we've got some, and just stamp it all over, and you can just about see it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's just about visible. And it's just a case of filling up the space. I'll use the tip of that there. So there we have it, and then the powder goes on top. You have to be fairly quick with the powder, otherwise your embossing has got nothing to stick to. So my powder has got a little bit of mica in it as well. It's one of my own concoctions, so you can see that shimmer. I'll brush it off afterwards. So put some heat to that. Just let it cool down for a minute and then be able to rub off the mica. But I just don't want to smudge the embossing powder because these chipboards do retain the heat. Still really hot. So there we go. So that's the first side, and that's like that one there. And then on the other side I wanted to do some stenciling, but first of all we're going to do a background, and I'll just bring in some non-stick sheet to use as a palette. And I'm going to use some turquoise. And some bougainvillea. And also bring in a little bit of chalk. For this I'm going to use a dry brush technique, so I'm using one of the chip brushes, which is really good for this because they are rough and they just give a lovely finish. And it's just a case of putting not too much paint because you don't want to flood the page with colour, and you can start going in one direction up and down and then side to side, and then you just build up the colour like that. When I want to change colour, rather than washing the brush, I just wipe it out a little bit and then use some paper towel and then do my other colour. And then lastly, to make it more opaque, I finish with chalk. But it really is a case of just keep layering and layering, so I will just carry on layering the colours up. There we go, and obviously with this technique you're never going to get the same effect twice. It's just different every time. Okay, so I'm using a stencil for this. I'll leave my colours out because I'll be using them, and I'm using a Crafters Workshop stencil, and this one is called Mini La Sonadora. And I was thinking of putting a full face, but I really love that half off, half on face for this. So I'm putting her there. Make sure I've got the text right up to the edge. And then I'm just going to use the chalk colour to stencil through. I do this a lot with my stenciling because especially if you're on a patterned paper or a dark colour, if you put the white down first, you've got a base then to do your other colours. Just gives you a stepping stone, a starting point. So cover that all in, get some more, and then we'll do the text as well. You might want to do a sort of more scrubbing motion on this side just to get into those, all that text. Oh, that's the hole. That's what I wouldn't take. And hopefully, sometimes it's worth putting a second layer down. But hopefully we've got our stenciling. I'm going to keep my finger there because I'm going to show you. There we go. Lovely. I'm going to show you the second part. So I thought about adding some colour to her, so I'm just going to use the bougainvillea now to do a second layer on this kind of bow in her hair. So we just put down that one layer first, add some colour there, and then we'll go in for a second go. And then obviously I've got black hair, and so put out a little bit of my little black dress, which is the black of the fresco finish, and then just very carefully, actually good idea here, little tip, is to use masking tape where you don't want it now, so you don't have any mishaps, because I don't want my text to have any black on it. So I'm just using all my scrappy bits of masking tape that I've used up before, and then just be very careful. No, I might need a bit more. It's trial and error, you'll soon work out which bits need covering. Let me see how we can do that. And I can always go in again and redo that if there's any dodgy bits. Right, so, and what I can do with her ear is I can redo that with pen. So, oh, eyes were, oh no, the eyes as well, because I've got a tricky bit now. Those eyebrows need doing. And down here. But don't worry if any sort of messed up, you literally, everything is redoable. Just take the black down there. And I think that's it. Like I said, this, oh, missed a bit there. It's a bit tricky to get that bit when there's the pink right next to it, but you can redo the pink and bring the colour back up. And I've always got bits to do afterwards, touching up. Right, so hopefully we have it. Now obviously there's some bits that need sorting out, and that's what the white pen is for. So it's kind of nice to add the lines in firmer, and that line there, and then I will fit the eyes in. Well, I only got one, and we'll put the pen where to highlight the bow, where we couldn't get in with the sponge. So there's always ways to make them look better. Should maybe have dried that first because it's struggling on this board. Never mind, we're getting there. Then with the black pen, just make sure I've got those bits covered that I should. You can always add some texture with it. I'm doing a sort of scribbling technique to add an extra dimension to the hair. I mean, once you've got the stencil down, you can put your own kind of little touches to it. Like I'm just gonna go around the eyes now and make them more detailed. Keep saying eyes when there's only one eye. Right eye. Put the pupil in. Then I'm just going to heat set that and then add some more colour. So now I can use my coloured pencil. I'm thinking brown for the iris. We've had a bit of a smudge there, but it won't matter on the overall effect. So brown for the iris, red lips, and a little bit of colour on the earring, which I shall use a yellow. Now I can use a water brush to just, oh, not too much, just bring the colour out. Got to be a little bit careful on that eye because it's gone a bit weird. Now I just want to heat set this again because I want to be working some pen over the top. Okay, the final touches that I did when it was dry is I just added some extra detail with a black and white pen, and the catch light in her eye, just some highlights on the lips, and she's done. And you can see, you know, each time you do it, it's gonna look different, because that's what this kind of work is like. But there we go, all done. Added some ribbon, obviously, for that tag to go in the box, and that's another technique done.